Hello and welcome everybody, it's Namtox here, and today I'm doing something a bit different. With the embargo lifting on Namco's upcoming Dragon Ball FighterZ, the hype is building into a Genki-Dama-like state, and I thought it'd be fun to show some insight as to my favorite Dragon Ball games of all time. And what better way to do it than a top 5 list. Before we kick off this list, however, I want to do an honorable mention for a game that was very close to making my top 5. The incredible Hyper Dragon Ball Z.
I'm really hungry! Fight me, Kakarot!
It's a completely free download on PC. I will have links below in case any of you would like to play this for yourself. I mean, just look at this. They took Mugen and made an incredible DBZ homage that actually plays as good as it looks. That kind of love, the kind that has fans like Balthazar and his very small team putting this much effort and care into something they care about so deeply, is what has kept Dragon Ball Z alive for so many years throughout the entire world, from fans old and new alike. That same love is being showed by Arc, and Dragon Ball FighterZ is shaping up to be a very special game, a beacon of hype, ki blast, power levels, 3-episode long transformations, and school arguments over the Japanese versus American dub, and all the fandom that comes from being a Dragon Ball fan. With all of that said, on to the list. Coming in at number 5 is Dragon Ball Z Super Seiya Densetsu. Originally released in 1992 for the Super Famicom, this game was a remake of 2 earlier entries for the original Famicom and featured improved visuals and sounds over its predecessors. It was a full-on RPG with an open world, a unique card battle system with awesome animations for the time. It also featured a dynamic story and little touches that really shone through. Things like healing a Saiyan when near death would permanently raise your level, using moon cards to transform Gohan, and being able to change things that happened in the show. It was neat to see the game actually adapt to your playstyle and make changes based on how you performed in combat or secrets you discovered. It's pretty easy to find the game if you look in the right places, although fan translations can be a bit hit or miss. Some are glitchy, and the game was never officially released anywhere outside of Japan. So if you can find it, be sure to check it out. It's awesome even today. Really cool game, and it's not one that many people know about. Number 4 on my list is Dragon Ball Z Legends. This game was an extremely fun, unique, team-based fighter with a full-on story mode going through epic moments of the show. I remember the first time I saw this game, it was in middle school. Some kid had breakfast, and he was showing his Japanese import disc, and I remember looking at the screenshots in the back of the box, the manual. It all looked incredible. The sprite work, just everything in those pictures looked like something I needed to be playing. A couple of weeks later, I was going all in on my PlayStation with an action replay, some paper clips, placing the system on its side to try and play this amazing looking game. If you played import games on a PlayStation with the Game Shark or an action replay, you know the struggle. And amazing it was. The sprite work, the super attacks felt like big moments. The tug-of-war combat system, which went against the standard life bars in every other fighter and was a very unique gameplay mechanic. Hell, it still is actually. Even better were the multiple person fights, 1-on-1 all the way up to 3-on-3 or 1-on-3. The story mode, the freedom to try and play it your own way. I sat and watched my best friend Mike take Vegeta and fight Frieza for about 2 hours in a battle he was supposed to lose, but he didn't. And instead of punishing him and hitting him with the game over screen, the game moved on and let it happen. That was such a mind-blowing concept compared to the very scripted nature of many games at that time, especially a licensed game to boot. Some say the Saturn version was the better version of the game, but let's be real, the PlayStation version is the one we have all played and remember fondly. I'm sorry, Saturn fans. Jumping forward in time here a bit, number 3 on my list is not very well known until Team 4-Star played it on their web series, TFS Plays, but Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans was incredible. Developed by Monolith Soft, and if you know me, you know the Xeno series of RPGs that they develop are my favorite games of all time. Attack of the Saiyans was a turn-based JRPG that went up to the end of the Saiyan saga. It had great music, sprite work, and tons of flexibility in the battle system and how you developed your team. I watched my good friend Mike, like I said earlier, this is a pattern here with him. He took a very low-level Yamcha and he soloed the hidden boss of Broly, and the fact that you could even level a character to those heights is exactly what Dragon Ball is about. Power levels, hitting those new highs, and this game had all of that and much more. It's relatively easy to find for the DS, and if you are a fan of Dragon Ball Z, it is a game absolutely worth playing today. That takes us on to the last 2 games, and this was a very hard choice. Dragon Ball Z Budokai was a very cool idea that had some rough edges when it first launched. The story mode, the very first playthrough, it was so exciting and it was awesome to see how they took that anime opening and just recreated it in the show, from the narrator to the actual major cutscenes. It just struck all the right fanboy nerves in my body. But it wasn't until Budokai 3 that it really hit home as just an incredible, solid fighting game. The cel-shaded look, the 2.5D fighting engine, and the tight, focused combat system was so much fun. It was really easy to pick up and play with simple inputs and one button for most of the special attacks. However, the vanishes, sidestep, attack cancels, and meter management really let the game shine at higher levels. On top of the in-depth combat system, the ultimate attacks were incredible to watch. Some attacks like Vegeta's Big Bang were even better in this game than the show they came from. Fun ways to build up the characters, very trolly android transformation if you died and you came back as Cyber Frieza was incredible for the time period. And I remember everyone would bring around their custom characters on memory cards to play against their friends. In-game transformations, tons of modes, story mode, lots of depth, lots of gameplay. It really helped the Budokai series establish Dragon Ball Z on the PS2 and Xbox generation of consoles. It also was the groundwork that paved the way for the future of all Dragon Ball video games going forward.
Welcome to Super Vegeta's Big Bang Attack! Welcome to Oblivion!
And that evolution from Budokai didn't take very long, because after the Budokai series ran its course, developer Spike picked up from where developer Dimps had left off and delivered the Budokai Tenkaichi trilogy, featuring an open space 3D combat arena and the largest cast of any fighter outside of Tobo 2, which for the record was also designed by Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama. Tenkaichi really took Dragon Ball to the next level. Dragon Ball, DBZ, even GT were all accounted for. Sure, big chunks of the roster were essentially useless characters like Yajirobe or Chi-Chi, even though I love them, but it was still cool to have them playable. I mean, they couldn't even fly, some of these characters, so they really weren't going to be used in the top tiers of gameplay. Even the movies were shown some love, with characters like Tapion on full display. It had team mechanics, in-game fusing, transforming, and almost every single special attack and power-up from the show's history. The combat system by Tenkaichi 3 had become much more advanced and in-depth than any other Dragon Ball Z game ever made. Cancels, parries, just frame, multiple sways, vanish attacks, defensive techniques that were really on display when two high-level players faced off. It felt epic. It felt like 5:30 on Toonami. It felt like Rock the Dragon was playing from the speakers. It just captured Dragon Ball in playable form like nothing else before it, and honestly nothing since. Raging Blast, Xenoverse, and more were all influenced by the Tenkaichi series, and for good reason. For me, it still hasn't been topped. From a gameplay or a fanboy perspective, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was incredible, and it is still played today and modded all the time. If you look at YouTube, you can find modded Tenkaichi 3 all the way up to the newest arc in Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball FighterZ, the world is waiting. Hopefully, ARC delivers the next evolution in the long and storied history of Dragon Ball in video games. We will all find out January 26th. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe and let me know which Dragon Ball Z game is your favorite. Is it something old school? Is it new school? Was there something I didn't mention that you might have liked, like the Batuden series or Hyper Dimension, maybe even Bit for Power, things like that? I'm willing to listen. I want to hear your feedback. And thank you once again. Let's get hype. Dragon Ball is coming. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to play it with all of you guys. Later, everybody.
Android 16, win!